So, Noel, welcome to the show. What better way to continue a really nice and smooth evening with someone as epic as you? You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. I'm really excited to be here and doing the same as well with you.
Oh, thank you so much for being here again. And starting with the interview now, let's go back in time a little bit here and tell me like how this passion for acting started.
I have kind of a very funny and slightly unconventional start with acting,
Okay.
which is when I was a kid, I was really into the whole watching behind the scenes of movies and how they were made. It was something that my brother and I were fascinated by. And so somehow in watching that and listening to interviews with actors, I got a little bit confused about playing pretend. Like I thought when you were playing pretend with your friends, you were acting.
Okay.
And so you had to play pretend the way that actors made a movie, which meant that my brother and I developed a very unconventional way of playing imagination and all of that, which is when we go to play, it would be like, okay, we're going to do this. Here's the story. Here's what's happening. And then we have to do it. And then if we felt like the other person wasn't engaged enough or I didn't believe it when you were crying, we'd have to do the whole thing again and keep playing that same moment of pretend over and over again until we felt like it was movie worthy.
Okay.
So very, very deep in childhood and just doing that and the freedom of expression that came with that. I was like, oh, I want to get paid for this. I don't want to stop doing this just because I grow up, quote unquote. So it started very deep in childhood. And then around age 9, I actually started to really go, oh, I don't think this is just one of those childhood, oh, this will be a fun career, being an astronaut. I was like, oh no, I think I really do love this. And I think working in entertainment will make me happy. And so that's when I started to kind of develop my sense of future and dreams and goals around acting, and it's persisted since.
Okay. And was it something else you wanted to be back when you were little?
There was a couple of different things. I think very much like being an actor, you always want a lot of different careers. You imagine and pretend oh, I want to be an ice skater or I want to be a surgeon. You kind of pick things that are in your family and you fantasize about it for 6 months and then you move on.
Yeah.
The only other career that I was really serious about is writing. And I've been very lucky to be able to be both an actress and a screenwriter at the same time.
Okay.
And kind of blend those two passions and work on projects that I write and get to act in.
Wow.
Which is
okay. That's amazing. And how you prepare a character. Now, of course, I understand that it depends right on the role, but what are usually, let's say what is your approach on this process of creating a character?
I think for me, it always, because how much time you have to prepare a character fluctuates a lot, especially with, self-tapes. Because if you're getting a lot in one day and they're very long self-tapes, you don't have, I think, as much time as you always want to really develop, prepare a character. And so very similar with filming. I've had projects that I've gotten the night before and only gotten to see this, the actual script and pages the night before filming. So I get, 4 hours of conscious thought on it, sleeping, and then waking up in 2 hours in hair and makeup to get ready.
Absolutely.
So for me, because of that, the most important is always the first read of the script. Because I really focus on reading it not as an actor trying to prepare, but as someone who's reading it for the story.
Okay.
Because I think that way it allows the character to introduce herself to me, and I get a feel for the project overall and what the story is and the energy and what's going on. And that allows me to really see what is it about her that I immediately relate to? What is it that she's trying to tell me on a personal level? And then building everything else, the choices and what her thought process is from there, really letting her introduce herself. So that very first read is I'll turn all the music off. I'll just really sit, phone on do not disturb, and just read it and let her come to me.
Okay. And has it ever happened to you that you were gonna play this character, but it took you the most to prepare? That there was something about this character that it took you more than usual.
Yeah, I think definitely there are some of those. So I do quite a bit of dub work and
Okay.
voice as
Hmm.
well as on camera. And sometimes dubbing, there are certain characters that come much harder because of the original actor's choices or
Absolutely.
they like the original language, their canter of speaking. So some of those definitely will take me like 3 or 4 more like tries to understand. Okay, this is how she's doing it. This is why she made the choices she did. This is how to match my voice to her. So that can take a little bit of time. A lot of the on-camera stuff that I've done or live performances that I've done can take time. I think I'm generally one of those that keep ending up in projects where I don't have a ton of time to prepare. So you're figuring it out while you're on set. And
Yeah.
you're going, okay, like trying to get into it, and you're trying to, talk to the director or the other actors to help you find your footing. So yes, a little bit of all of that. I've been pretty fortunate to have been able to figure it out pretty quick, knock on wood, thus far.
Yeah.
But one experience that I did have that was very nice was I worked on a project with a friend, and she cast me like about a month in advance. And so that gave me a month of working with her to prepare the
Okay.
character. And especially because she was really focused on the character having limited dialogue and it being a performance of visuals, like small cues, small looks. So really talking with her and the cinematographer about how to capture that. And like she gave me a list of like 5 movies to watch that were
Wow.
that she wanted to inspire the performance. And so getting to do that was beautiful. And like to this day, one of my favorite experiences as far as collaboration, because I got the opportunity to build the character with the writer director.
Absolutely. Wow, such a nice experience. And like, let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now, I don't know anything about acting, of course. I mean, I don't have any experience. I mean, the only role I might have in my life was one. It was back in high school, and I only had one line, and I messed it up in so many ways. But anyway, that so let's say I call you and then I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now, based on my zero experience, what advice could you give to me or to someone even that wants to start this career change as an actor?
I think the thing that helps me the most is there's nothing quite like an acting class.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically finding one that works for how you best learn. Because in an acting class, you're not only going to have the teacher, but you're going to have peers that are supporting you, working you through it, and it'll help get over things like stage fright and the fear of messing up lines.
Yeah.
And it'll really just teach you, give you the opportunity to decide for yourself where you want your career to go, what your goals are, and allow you the chance to discover yourself through acting, which I think is the most beautiful point,
Absolutely.
and privilege of acting. So I'd always say like finding, and the beautiful thing is you can find an acting class anywhere in any city. There's a class that you can enroll in. So I think it's something that, especially coming out of the pandemic, is very accessible and a pleasure to like partake.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the fact that now with the whole online thing, I mean, you can take classes from another school, from another country, you pay and you get experience instead of have to, and instead of, the whole process to move there. And especially if you are from another country, you need to, work permits and all of that. So it is really cool now that with technology, you can search for any online classes and make it happen.
Oh, yes. I think that was such a beautiful thing. I have so many friends that are based in Los Angeles, but took East Coast acting classes for the past 2 years because they were like, I can't afford career-wise or financially to move to the East Coast for this training, but I can still have access to a lot of the like principal tenets of it through Zoom, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. Now tell me, what has been the funniest audition you ever had?
Oh, funniest. I think unfortunately I haven't, like, I've had some funny self-tape experiences. In-person auditions, I haven't necessarily had the funniest. I did have one unusual experience for an in-person, which was I was auditioning for an indie film.
Okay.
And the role was silent. She was mute.
Oh, okay.
And it was going pretty well. They were very interested in what I was doing, and they were like very pleased because they're like, oh, you have big eyes. We can really work with these. And then they had the cinematographer taping all the auditions. And halfway through my audition, he interrupted and asked the director, who's like, hey, can I go handheld for this? I want to start testing some things. So I'm like trying to go through these scenes with a reader, just like performing only with my eyes. I had no words. And all of a sudden, the like DP is moving all around me, getting these different shots. I'm trying to like eye line with the other characters. He's moving. I don't know where he's going. At one point, he like fell over a chair because we were like in kind of an auditorium almost, a very small one, still auditorium style. And I couldn't laugh because I was like deep in the scene where like I'm being told that like my father died in the gold rush, and it was a little chaotic.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, I love it. Now, let's say that Netflix, HBO Plus, Paramount, when you name it, they call you and they tell you, we need to make a film. But here's the thing. So it's gonna be basically a film in which all of the characters you have played at the moment, they're gonna gather to celebrate your birthday. Tell me, what would be the name of that film?
Oh, I think if they're celebrating my birthday, bear with me on this one. I'll explain it after I say it.
Okay.
But I think I would call it Panic at the Disco. Because I feel like I would definitely have a themed birthday party, and it would definitely all go wrong if those were the guests.
Okay.
Because I feel like the variety of characters that I've played, chaos would ensue if you put them all in one. And I'd be panicking, but I'd just be trying to dance my way through it. Be like, let's put on some ABBA. Let's make it work, guys. We don't have to hate each other.
Okay.
You know, so I think, yeah, for right now, that's my answer.
Okay. And what would it be? Would it be like a dramedy or dark comedy, perhaps? Like,
I think you'd either have to lean dark comedy or screwball comedy. I feel like it would have to be one or the two, because, you know, what, like some of the characters I've played have had severe panic disorders. Others have been, you know, training as warriors for like to fight monsters. So I think if you put those type of people in the same room, chaos is going to ensue, and hopefully it's comedic for the audience.
Okay, I like it. Now, if you could describe your whole acting career on a drink, which one would you pick? Now, you can either choose one or you can create one.
Oh, that's a hard one, because I feel like I'd want to kind of create some kind of like sparkling juice. Like, because I feel like despite the ups and downs of my career and stuff, the experience overall has been very fun and uplifting. So like kind of like bubble. I think just out of personal preference, I always like a nice like fruity flavor. So I don't know, something sparkling, maybe like a sparkling like pear apple type drink, something that would be like almost something like very sugary and sweet that you would give children, because it's been like very fun and playful. I choose to perceive it as very fun and playful thus far. A lot of the experiences and like collaborators I've gotten to work with.
Okay.
So, like the drink to reflect that.
Okay. Now, what will be the name of that drink?
Ooh. I feel like I would want to put something like delicate in it, because I think that there's something to be said for maybe like delicate ambition, because I think I'm always a little bit hesitant to get over it. So something like that, like delicate ambition, something leaning there.
Okay, I'll take that. And if you could describe your acting career on a film, which one? For example, I don't know, maybe your career maybe the film that describes your career could be, I don't know, for example, Fast and Furious or Gone with the Wind. I don't know. No, in this case, which film?
I'm thinking, this one's taking me a second.
It's okay, take your time.
Yeah, I mean, the first one that like comes to mind is I think of definitely kind of classics like and I'm trying to remember what the name of the film was. There's this film, the 1940s, that starred Lucille Ball and Katharine Hepburn. It was about a group of young women in Hollywood that all lived, not in Hollywood, in New York, that all lived in the same boarding house to audition for Broadway.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's so much of my career, because the highlight of my career has been the community and collaboration with actors. And so the thing that I loved most about that film, I think it was called like Stage Door. But that film so relates to me because the highlight of moving to Los Angeles and of pursuing acting has been the community, and especially the women and the fellow actresses that have time and time again showed up to support me or taught me about acting and life and art and ambition and overcoming self-doubt. So I think that film, that's name I can't remember.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I like it. Now, like my last question here is like, what motivates you? You know, we all have those days that we basically just want to quit. You know, and it's interesting because sometimes as things might be okay. You know, things might be normal. You know, nothing to worry about, but so like something triggers it, right? And you get inside into this toxic bubble in which you start to ask yourself, am I good enough? I've been wasting my time, you know, like all of those toxic thoughts. But so my question here is like, what gets you out of those thoughts so you can continue on this journey that you have been for so many years now?
Oh, I think that's hard. I think, you know, there's kind of three different like things that I'll try, because sometimes there's different things that kind of spur that doubt in you. Sometimes it's, you know, you didn't get the part you wanted.
Totally.
Sometimes it's just feeling like you've gotten a whole lot of no's with not a lot of movement towards yeses. Sometimes it's just exhaustion and burnout.
Yeah.
I think it all is dependent. I think most of the time what I always come back to when all else fails, like the always the go-to is a film that I love. Just watching a movie that I love, because there's nothing quite like that. Be it, you know, Greta Gerwig's Little Women or Lawrence of Arabia, just finding something. Sometimes it's just a silly movie even from childhood, like a cartoon, but always grasping onto that feeling of storytelling, the way that you can escape. And when you watch a really beautiful film that speaks to you, or you hear a beautiful song or any of it, you really realize how beautiful life is when you remove all of the things that are stressing you out. Yeah. And I think the beauty of a film is you get to sit down, you get to feel all of the beautiful feelings and complicated feelings that we experience in human life and in daily life. But films take the pressure off. So you're not overwhelmed going, oh God, like I'm going to slow down. I'm going to lose productivity because I'm feeling and thinking all these things. You put a movie on and you're saying, I'm giving myself 2 hours to feel and think those things. And for me as an actor, that's the most beautiful part, is you get to spend all day in those feelings. You get to spend all day creating something that will give someone those 2 hours of permission to be human.
Yeah,
and so go back to that.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it is difficult, of course, but yeah, it's true. I mean, at the end, the main goal here, right, is to make what makes you happy, right? What makes you wake up every morning and be like, I'm ready to go, right? And not see it more as an actual typical 9-to-5 job, right? So it is cool, the fact that you are that you're doing what makes you happy, but most important, because you enjoy it, you know. And we all know, of course, that whenever you want to start something, either on acting, music, you know, it can be challenging because of the whole competition around, and everybody wants to become an actor or a singer, you know, or things like that. So the fact that you are doing it, and the fact that you're also putting the hard work, I think that's kind of proof enough, you know, that you enjoy it, but most important, that dreams can come true, which I think sometimes people can get discouraged, right? The fact that when they start this new career and they get totally discouraged because they realize that the real life of becoming an actor or a musician, it's super difficult, right? So I'm glad that you found what makes you happy, but also that you are making things done, you know.
Thank you. No, I agree. I think it's definitely one of those things where the most important thing to do is get rid of the idea of what other people are going to perceive as successful, and really lean into what you perceive as successful. And for me, it was all about framing it as, for me as an actor, it's always about the experience. It's about the experience of getting to step into someone else's shoes, of getting to explore a life that I would have never lived.
Totally.
And also getting to work with other people that are creative and interesting and thinking these thoughts and asking these questions about, the human experience. And so it's all about, for me, that like, do I like the story I'm telling versus how many millions of people are going to be tuning in this week? And of course, like, it's always nice that
Yeah,
that idea of actually being able to like impact people and be a part of that big of a conversation. But for me, when it comes to my life, it's always going to be about how did this personally impact my experience as a person? How did this project advance me on my journey? And if the answer is I feel like it did something beautiful or I connected, then it's worth it. Then I did it. Then I succeeded. That's like how I define a success story for a project.
I love it. I mean, I love what you do, Noëlle. I love the fact that, as I said before, that you are doing what makes you happy. I mean, we all know that sometimes it can take years, decades, even your whole lifetime to discover what makes you happy. The fact that you found it and you're doing it, that's amazing. And it's more than obvious that more and more people eventually are going to know about you, but also they're going to love what you do. So keep doing what you do. It is super amazing, and keep inspiring, because you're definitely inspiring a lot of people with your work here. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. I also want to thank those who are watching this right now. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. Also, if you are either listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, make sure to go follow like Noëlle, like right now. I mean, the video is done, so don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, comment, and after you did that, go follow Noëlle. I mean, let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Noëlle. She's awesome. She's amazing. And Noëlle, thank you so much again for making this happen. Have an incredible rest of the week, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dan. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Have a good one, okay?
You too.
All right.